welcome to the very first episode of Pit Lane Reporter, the magazine that's no longer a magazine. It's now a video with myself, Phil Woods, and
Mark Gero from Los Angeles.
From Los Angeles. And I'm here in North Wales, the United Kingdom. So we're bridging the Atlantic for this show.
Right.
Yeah. Before we start, Mark, you're going to show the audience your T-shirt. This is episode 1.
Right. This is the T-shirt that I have for our show.
That's cool, isn't it?
I got that from a company in the Netherlands called Vistaprint. So if you want to have any stuff from Vistaprint, just go online on www.vistaprint.com and they'll order anything that you want in any color.
Good. Well, I might order myself a T-shirt then. I think at the moment it have to be extra, extra large. I need to go on a diet. So let's get into this. Formula One is exciting. 2022, brand new season, brand new cars, brand new everything. It's just fantastic. So first of all, let's just talk about maybe one of the negative things that's happened this week. Very sad indeed. The reasons why the Russian Grand Prix is no longer going on. From my point of view, the absolute right decision by the Formula One there. What did you think of that, Mark, when you heard?
Yeah, I think Sebastian Vettel really set off something when he said that that the Russian invasion of the Ukraine really was not a very good thing for the politics, and it's really kind of stupid to have a Grand Prix in Sochi when you've got an event like that just happened in the news.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very good decision. It was a quick decision, quick decision by the FIA to scrap that race.
Very unusual that the FIA did something quickly this time.
Yeah. I think they learned.
It leads nicely actually into the next sort of topic. We won't go on it. Everybody's gone on about it in Formula One, but we haven't. So we have to put our little bit in. Of course, we go back to Abu Dhabi and the finale of last season, and to be brutally honest, it was a farce in my opinion. What was your opinion of it, Mark? What did you think?
I think it was it was just the wrong decision that Michael Masi did. I mean, like we've been through it already. He should have had the red flag go out, and the cars that were in the front that were going to be lapped should have went around, and then they should have had another standing start for maybe another lap or so, and then it should have been done that way.
Yeah.
Now, Verstappen would have done it that way, and he would have won. That would have been more fair than just having this controversy and have him decide at the very last minute why, a decision to stop the race, or with all these cars in the front,
unusual,
like being lapped, and
it's just unusual to let 5 cars through, and I mean that's never happened before, and I can see what was in his head. I mean, we have to be fair on that. He wanted the race to finish with 2 title challenges next to each other, but the problem is that there was a huge difference in the tires. Massive difference, and by purposely putting Max Verstappen behind Lewis Hamilton, Michael Masi would have known, he's got enough knowledge that Max Verstappen would have overtaken, and he did. And to be fair to Max, I mean, some people are going a bit OTT on this, but to be fair to Max, he over the season won more races, and he was unlucky when you look at Baku, especially. Right. So. Because it was Abu Dhabi, because it was the last race of the season, I think that people automatically think that Lewis Hamilton was robbed. Yes, I suppose he was, but at the end of the day, that was Lewis Hamilton's bit of bad luck, right? The decision. But bad luck had happened during the season, and we don't tend to focus on that because it's not the big story. So I think at the end, I'm a big fan of Lewis Hamilton. I won't hide that, but Max did deserve it, but it wasn't the right way to do it. Really wasn't.
Yeah, it's one way to end the season on a more controversial note. I think the FIA is going to have to learn from this, and I think they will. They will. But as the new FIA chief now has already made officially his rule that now more than one person will make decisions like that, and you've got like a VCR or something like that, like you have in football, where you have an instant replay of what happened. You're going to have the same thing now in Formula One. So that's going to be a better idea than just having one person under a lot of pressure to do something like that, to make a decision that controversial. And he got hit for it, and of course he lost his job because of that. So that's
Yeah,
kind of a sad thing for Michael Massey, but you know,
it
he had to
is.
do it, and that's what happened.
Unfortunately, his position was untenable. I think they'll find him a different position. I think they're going to find him something else. They're not. I don't think they're getting rid of him. He's not going to be sitting on his bum at home. I think he's still going to be working for for the FIA, but doing something
Right.
different.
Right.
But yeah, having a similar system to the VAR in what we call soccer and you call soccer, we call football.
Right.
And in American football too, the opportunity to look over something and make that decision.
Right.
And I felt it was naughty of Toto Wolff and Christian Horner to be hounding Michael Massey like they did. You know, that's the pressure that was put on him. So they've got to take some kind of responsibility from it as well. Don't you think?
It seemed like Red Bull was the only team that really was in favor of Massey making his decision, but of course they won the competition.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, there you go. So we'll skip on that. That's old news. What's great? What's new news is these new cars, and my goodness, don't they look beautiful?
yeah, they do. There's one really funny thing about it, Phil, is that the cars have a problem when they're on a straightaway, like they were at Barcelona.
Yeah.
And they have a thing called porpoising, which makes the car go up and down and kind of has because it's now a ground effect.
Yeah.
That happened back in the 80s. They had the same problem where it just bounced a lot on a high-speed circuit. That's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do that. All the technical teams, are they going to make it smoother, or are they going to do something different, or they have to ask the FIA what's going to go on? It's going to be that technically they're going to have to fix during the middle of the season, especially on high-speed circuits. You know?
Yeah, Monza, and
correct.
When you think Monza, they'll just be bouncing all the way around, won't they? It'd be like being on a pogo stick.
Yeah, it'd be like Spa-Francorchamps, another one that's really
yeah, of course, yeah. But it's the cars themselves though do look beautiful, and the new idea for aerodynamics, of course, is the ground effect, which you rightly pointed out we had in the 80s, and we went away from that, and it was all about putting the downforce on top of the car to push the car down. This instead is more like a vacuum sucking it down.
Right.
And I don't know whether the listeners or the viewers of this, I don't know how much they know about the technical side, and I don't want to go too deep into it. But are you able to explain in an easy way what ground effect is or how it works?
Ground effects is when the vehicle underneath the car sucks to the ground, just like you said. And instead of having looseness in the car, it's tight. So that means as you go around a turn, it's going to be quicker and faster. And that's what you're going to see with these new cars, is that they're more under control than just, having them loose and, the way they were, because they were always squeamish. Yeah. Now around a turn, it's going to be a lot quicker, a lot faster, a lot more controlled, and a lot more easier for the driver. So that's what the problem is there. Yeah. Fortunate thing back then in the 80s is that those cars probably were too fast, and the speeds became too rapid, and they had some terrible accidents that year too, including Shield had a bad accident, a really bad accident in Zolder. And that was that was a mistake by the driver. But the fact was those cars were really dangerous because they hugged the ground so much. Yeah. What they have to learn now, they got a lot more safety than they had back then. So it's a lot more easier to understand. So we'll just have to see how it works. Might make more exciting racing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the design of the new front wings is especially important. People would have seen if you've watched Formula One for the last 10 years, you'll see the front wings were getting more and more complex, almost to a ridiculous state where if you squinted a bit, it looked like one of those pictures where you find a hidden picture, just a load of nonsense. It's just veins here and wings here and winglets here. It was just so much, and they've simplified that, which will help the cars to follow a lot better. And of course, with the air going underneath or being pulled underneath, that'll let the cars go closer. So we're hoping, and the FIA are hoping, we're going to have closer racing. Do you think that'll work?
I'm seeing after the third day of testing in Barcelona that Ferrari and McLaren will probably get a lot more closer to Mercedes and Red Bull. Everybody else, it's hard to say. You know, we might still have the same midfield group like Alpine and Aston Martin and AlphaTauri, and then you got Williams might move up. They seem to be getting a little bit better. And Haas, well, you don't know all the being an American, that's pretty tough to understand with all the political things that are going on. We'll get to that later, but still, I think, yeah, we'll have a little bit more closer racing, but it'll only be maybe a couple more teams that will get closer to the top too. That's all I can see for now, at least, you know.
So you thinking that it's going to be Red Bull and Mercedes out front?
Yeah, Ferrari seems very strong right now with their car. They seem to design, and we always know Lando's doing well, and Ricciardo's doing well too. So they might throw themselves and pop in there for a couple of races, maybe Monaco.
Yeah.
Hungary, perhaps, because we saw a big surprise there last year. So it's all tight circuits. They might have more of a fair battle.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the stronger and more powerful circuits, you're probably going to see just about the same. I hate to say that, but I'd like to see a little bit more action. But we'll just have to see how this works out, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the Mercedes car and the Red Bull car are both really, really good looking cars. The Red Bull one seems to have a bit of everything. So they seem, but it hasn't been it hasn't been plain sailing for them, has it? They had a breakdown. Was it day 3? Was it yesterday? Sorry, the day before, because it's Sunday now, isn't it?
Day before, yeah.
Yeah. So was it Sergio Perez had a breakdown?
Yeah, it was Sergio Perez. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we know what that was? I didn't get to know what that was.
I don't quite remember what it was. I think it was just something with the pump or something like that. Something inside the car, really a design problem. Okay. I think the radical design of that side pod on the Red Bull car is what they got to get used to. It's not like the Mercedes car or anything like that.
No.
It's just a design thing that they probably will get used to it, but it's going to take some time with them. I think the next test in Bahrain they'll probably get used to it more then, and they'll have more of a better complete package, you know.
Yeah. Do you think there's a case that I mean, a lot of people are raving on about it. A lot of journalists are saying, yeah, what a car. And is there a case to say perhaps they've gone too far? They've done too much, and the car, like you say, will be maybe more difficult to drive. And of course, they've got their own engine now, haven't they? It's still Honda, isn't it? But they bought the rights to.
Yeah, I hear that it'll be that way for a few more years, and I hear Porsche is starting to come in by 2026. That's just a rumor right now, but that might be finished by then, you know. Yeah. But yeah, one of their own in-house engines, mainly with Honda parts.
Yeah. So it remains to be seen whether they're reliable. We don't know.
Right.
It's not, you know, they have picked I mean, I don't know the whole team in the engine department, but I do know that they've picked off some really clever people. But it remains to be seen, doesn't it? But I've got this feeling that they've gone. I mean, Adrian Newey is a great designer. But what he hasn't managed to do is get over the last 8 years, he hasn't managed to get any really close to the Mercedes. They you know, it was only this last season where they really challenged them properly. I mean, all season. And so I just worry. I don't worry, but I think have Red Bull taken on too much? Have they designed too much? It's like somebody that's got two part-time jobs, and he also goes to volunteer at the library, and he goes do this and he goes to do that, and then you just blow out, don't you? So I'm wondering whether Red Bull have tried to be too clever this time, because when I saw the car on track, I wasn't as impressed as some of the other journalists. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, what your initial impressions of it? Apart from the fact you said what you said,
well, were you trying to say that they might have overdone it on their design?
Yeah,
it might be possible. You know, Mercedes for some reason seems to have a group that can put things together all as a team, and that's what makes Hamilton win so much. You know, they're just a fantastic organization. They made the engine in 2014. I mean, it came right out of the box successful.
Yeah,
the Brit engine. So it's a good company, and they really do very well. So Red Bull is more of a smaller organization, but they put it all together last year, so it's hard to see what they could do this year, and they have to defend their title now. I think more tension will be put on them to do that, more than it was Mercedes. So, around, they've won so many years, and now all of a sudden they lose one year. So now they're the challengers again. So they're going to have to, just see how it works out for Red Bull,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mercedes, you're right. They're a big team, good team. But in Formula One, you have periods of time, don't you, where a team dominates. It tends to be the same. We had Ferrari for a long while, then McLaren, and then Mercedes. Red Bull, and then Mercedes. So when rules change, quite often, so does the front runner, the one you've got to chase. But I just don't. There's just something in me that says I don't think it's going to be Red Bull. I tell you, the cars I really like. I really like the Aston Martin.
Yeah.
It looks a beast. That's the first thing. But it also, it looks on the track, it looks good. It looks solid. It looks like it'll take, like you said at the beginning about the cornering and things. I think that I think the Aston Martin, I think they could be a surprise package this year. And Williams. I really like their car too. They're not going to be at the front, but I wouldn't write them off for getting podiums now and again. And it'd be lovely to see them back, especially after, of course, losing Frank. It'd be nice for them to actually have some success with his name still on there. So surprise packages. What do you think? Any thoughts?
You pretty much said it right about Aston Martin and Williams. AlphaTauri seems to still be doing pretty well. Gasly's still driving we had an accident the other day, but that was the only mistake he made. He's always been pretty steady throughout the entire last year and maybe through this year as well. Tsunoda is starting to improve too. I can see him doing a little bit better. His rookie status is gone, so now he knows what it's all about. Alpine, well, they have a brand new Renault engine, and it blew up pretty bad the other day. But that was more likely a sealant that went that day. It wasn't really part of the engine; it was just outside the engine. It was just something that didn't stick. That's all, and it happens.
Yeah.
So it'll certainly be the most colorful car when you got a little bit of pink on there too, as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with Alpine. It's going to be interesting because Alonso needs a good result in order for him to keep driving. And I can't see Ocon leaving for a couple more years. And if Gasly's contract ends at the end of this year, and I can't see Gasly and Ocon, two Normans, going against each other on the same team, it would be like Prost and Rene Arnoux back in the 80s with Renault. They just couldn't stand one another.
No.
And I don't think these two guys get along either. So, we'll have to see how that works. But it'll be a battle in the midfield between Aston Martin, Alpine, and AlphaTauri again. I can see that.
Yeah. Well, the Alpine, before the season started, I think I said to you that I had a sneaky feeling that they had bossed it this year, be the surprise package. That was before we saw the cars. I only had that feeling because I had heard from Fernando Alonso that he wouldn't come back into Formula One unless he was in a winning car. So I had in my head that he had seen the plans for 2022 and was impressed, because these drivers, they're not designers, but they do know their cars. So they can tell straight away whether it's a winner or not. And I just felt Alonso. It's a surprise that Alonso's gone there if they're not going to have any success. He won't stay there longer than he'll retire at the end of the year if there's nothing.
Well, you have to remember also, Phil, that if Daniel Ricciardo didn't leave that team, Alonso probably would have never had to drive with anyone.
No,
so
true.
Very fortunate that Ricciardo left for McLaren and got impatient with Renault, which was Renault, now it's Alpine, and left for McLaren, giving Alonso a chance to get on that team. So he was very fortunate that happened.
Yeah, I get that. So, we'll see what happens with Alonso. Let's turn our attention to the back of the field. And I think you mentioned at the beginning of the program, not a good first week for Haas at all. It's or Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Why did they disguise their car?
I have no idea. I know they're going to launch it tomorrow.
I know.
They're going to launch it somewhere tomorrow. I might be Spain before they leave and have to go to test in another 2 weeks. But yeah, that's a whole new team. I mean, you got Bottas coming in. He's got a lot of experience. He's done very well at Mercedes, but it's not a Mercedes car.
Nope.
It's a different vehicle. And, I put my hat off to Sauber because they're such a great organization. They get along with everybody.
Yeah.
And with Alfa Romeo in there now, you still got a good Ferrari backup. And the new driver, Zhou, from China, was probably a money deal, I'd have to say, that got China into Formula One finally. And I don't know if you're going to see much out of that. Poor Bottas, I think he just wanted a change, after being at Mercedes for so long. And now he's on a team that he's going to have to really work for.
Yeah, well, the change is for him that he's going to be the number one driver where he spent so long as number two.
Right.
So being a number one driver here at Alfa Romeo, he's that'll be something different for him. I think I don't know how to pronounce it.
Zhou, yeah.
Zhou. So I watched him in Formula 2 a few times, and he is he's a bit like Max Verstappen in that he doesn't really he'll take the big risks. He'll take big risks. He'll be involved in one or two crashes this year. I'm almost certain. If I could put a bet on that, I would.
Yeah, rookies, right? Yeah,
yeah. But he is a battler, so he will go for things that you probably think, whoa, watch it. But he'll go for things. He's not frightened of a risky overtake. Let's put it that way. So I'm looking forward to seeing him actually. He's not a bad driver. Yeah, it's probably a money deal when it comes down to it, because obviously there were drivers better than him in Formula 2 because they finished above him, and money talks, doesn't it? Basically,
right.
Yeah. If I had millions and millions of pounds and lost about 9 stone, I'd be able to buy myself a seat.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with Mazepin and Haas. Without them, they wouldn't have had a Haas team. I'm sure they would have had to find money somewhere else. But and then now this happens. That's going to be a dilemma.
Yeah, we're going to have to. I'd like to talk about that if we can. So we move on to that and just think before we look ahead to Bahrain and the test in Bahrain and of course the first race of the season. We'll have a quick chat about the situation there. It's not his fault he's a Russian citizen, is it? But the problem is that it's the money and where the money comes from and what it promotes, and indirectly somewhere along the line it has a financial benefit for Putin. And what do you do? But it's not his fault, is it? The poor lad.
No, the decision's going to have to come down to the Haas group right over here in Oxnard, California. And because we're so far away from Europe, that decision's going to be delayed for a while. And Gunther Steiner's not making any comment about that right now. So already the paint job is off the car. It was not there on the third day of testing. So I don't want to make a prediction about it, but I don't think that paint job will stay on there. And I think probably Mazepin will probably be off the team because of political reasons. Unfortunately, not like you said, not his. No. But and then you might have Pietro Fittipaldi probably stepping in us. He's the test driver. He'll probably join Mick Schumacher.
Right.
That's going to be a problem.
It's going to be interesting.
It hasn't been confirmed by Haas that maybe Andretti. We all know that Andretti wants to start a Formula One team. And he might put his sponsorship on there, but I don't know if Haas and Andretti can get along. If Haas is desperate for money, he probably will take it. Yeah. Because Andretti might not get into Formula One. It has to be approved by the entire Formula One teams to have a group in there. And the FIA is not happy about having another team come in. They're kind of satisfied with 20 teams. I mean, I'm sorry, 20 drivers and 10 teams.
Yeah.
That should be it. So if needs and gets desperate, he might have to call on the Andretti, or he might find another sponsor.
Yeah, you know? Well, I mean, we don't want teams to go. We've seen that with we had that period of time where we lost Caterham, HRT, and Virgin.
And USF1 never got off the ground.
No, I mean, it just didn't work, did it? I spent some time with Caterham. I was in their garage at the British Grand Prix, and I learned quite a lot. And to be fair, they built, a car that's at the back of Formula One. People have got to get away from saying it's rubbish, because they may be a couple of seconds off the pace, but a couple of seconds off the Mercedes is a fast car. You drive that, you're going to know, you're going to notice. So they do build a good car. It's just that, well, they haven't built one that can challenge for the last 2 years, and this year it isn't looking great, is it?
No.
So I hope they improve. But so let's look, before we go, let's look ahead at Bahrain. It's 2 weeks, isn't it, until Bahrain for the testing? Are we going to see them more qualifying runs, do you think? Yeah.
What will happen in the next test is it's really the last chance that anybody has before the season starts. So they're going to work on probably their qualifying and their fast laps.
Yeah.
And they're going to work on race preparation mostly. This time around, to see how the car works, how it's going to be done. Now you're going to have the crowd coming in again, and they're going to start observing what these cars can do.
Yeah.
And like I said, Mercedes, Red Bull, and maybe McLaren and Ferrari will probably be up there at the top. This is where you're going to see how good their cars are going to be at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And of course, the improvements that they make during the season, during the middle of the year, will be done as well.
Yeah,
but this is where you're going to see the beginning of all this.
I mean, often you see from the last test to the first race, you see a difference in the cars from then, and sometimes they don't look anything like they did when they come out when they were a test. Red Bull, for certain, I believe, have got some upgrades coming for the first race. So, and I believe all the teams will do the same, really. But I'm going to stick my neck out, because we'll do a little prediction before we finish. So I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'm going to say that the first race in Bahrain, I'm going to say George Russell is going to win that one. His proper debut, although he had a race when Lewis had COVID, he would have won that, wouldn't he? If
didn't have a flat tire.
Yeah. So so I think George Russell. What are you going to stick your neck out and give me a prediction for race winner?
I think Lewis. is going to get started right away. The only real challenge I see for him could be Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
He seems to be improving more. Him and Carlos Sainz Jr. are really close together as a team, and that's good for the Constructors' Championship. But I saw last year, and you saw it too, that the fact that they're very, very level with one another.
Yeah.
They can challenge the Mercedes too.
Yeah.
Red Bull, I don't think they're ready to do anything just yet. I think Max will get going, but I think he's going to be a little slow out of the box.
Yes, I do too. I agree. I think Williams will have a much better first race than they did all of last season. I think they'll certainly be in the midfield, potentially with Aston Martin at the front of the midfield. But let's see. Let's see. Wait and see. Who's the first one to crash? You know who I'm going to say.
Joe.
Are you going to go the same, or are you going to pick somebody else?
Gosh. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you on that one.
You got
about a crash, but that would probably be the first stint that would happen right there. Shunt would happen.
Shunt, yeah.
Shunt, right.
So all right. Well, it's been great talking to you, Mark, and I hope the viewers have enjoyed it too. We'll be
I
back.
have. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, doing exactly the same again, but on the Bahrain. And we hope we'll know a bit more, and our predictions may change.
Right.
So until Bahrain, thank you very much, Mark. Bye bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye. See you next time.
See you next time. Right.